Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.
The day begins in the dimly lit back room at the mansion of the Quartermaines. Ned Quartermaine stands across from his mother, Tracy Quartermaine, his voice low and urgent. "Ned, Mom, you're digging yourself deeper. You have to let this go." Tracy, with a sigh, "Let what go, Ned? War is the only language people in this town respect. Ned, this war with Ronnie is costing you more than you know." Tracy leans back, her jaw set. "So let her have the mansion? Let her walk all over the legacy of this family? Not on my watch." Ned shakes his head. "That's exactly it. This legacy is becoming a battlefield. You're in a one-sided fight and you're getting wounded." Tracy stares at him, silence hanging heavy. Outside the window, the storm clouds gather, symbolic, if Ned were the literary type, but Tracy just rubs her temples and exits the room. Ned watches her leave, worry etched on his face. Meanwhile, at the police station, Anna Devane is kneeling over a stack of reports, scanning them with laser focus. She looks up as her partner sweeps into the room, file in hand. "Partner, Anna, we got something. The witness has come forward." "Anna, finally." She picks up the file and flips through. "How good is the match?" "Partner, positive. We've got answers." Anna closes her eyes, exhales. "I've waited too long for this. Let's go see the witness now." She stands, gathering the files, a resolve in her step. The hallway lights fall in shadows across her face as she exits, determined, unflinching. At the Corinthos mansion, Jason Morgan arrives unannounced, the front door swinging open before his knock is answered. Inside, Carly Corinthos appears, startled. "Jason, we need to talk." Carly, guarded, "This better be good, Jason." Jason takes a step closer. "I know about the visit to Steinmauer." Carly, eyes widening, "What are you talking about?" Jason, "Don't play with me." "The incognito prison visit. With Valentine." Carly, "Jason, you have no idea what I'm doing." Jason's expression hardens. "Try me. Because I'm not going to stand by while you make moves that could destroy anyone you say you care about." Carly's shoulders slump just slightly. "I'm protecting what I must." Jason, "At what cost?" She looks away. "You wouldn't understand." Jason, "Maybe I do. Maybe I've just had enough." He pivots and walks toward the door. "Just know, if you think you can run your plan without me finding out, you're wrong." Carly watches him leave, the door closing with a thud that echoes down the hallway. Her face is a mixture of defiance and fear. In a quiet corner of the hospital's cafeteria, Nina Reeves sips her coffee, watching those around her. Her phone buzzes. She picks it up. The message, "It's time." She stares at it, then sets the cup down with resolve. Just then, she glances across the room and sees someone, unseen to the audience, pass by. Nina quietly stands, leaves the coffee behind, and walks out. In her mind, the wheels are turning fast. She heads toward her car, her expression unreadable. Later, someone in Port Charles will ask, "What's Nina up to now?" And the answer will be, "Something dirty." At the Metro Court, in one of the meeting rooms, Curtis Ashford sits across from a disgruntled Isaiah. The tension is palpable. "Isaiah, you think you just walk in and claim what you want?" Curtis, quietly, "No, I know I have to fight for it." Isaiah, "And you're reeling, Curtis? You're out of your depth." Curtis leans forward. "Maybe I am. But I've got something you don't." Isaiah smirks, "Connections? Leverage? Please." Curtis, determination. "And people I care about." Isaiah, "That's your weakness." He stands, jabs a finger on the table. "You'll regret this." Curtis doesn't flinch. He meets Isaiah's stare. "Maybe. But at least I'll know I didn't back down." Isaiah leaves. Curtis exhales after he's gone, his body slack for a moment, the weight of what's ahead pressing in. Later in the day, at the Ava Loeb Jessen loft, Portia Roberts knocks gently, clutching her purse. Ava Benson opens the door, looking surprised. Portia, Ava, thanks for seeing me. Ava, you sounded urgent. She gestures inside. They sit. Portia looks at her hands. I found out something. I'm not sure how to process it. Ava leans in. Start with telling me. Portia, quietly, I'm pregnant. Eva's eyes widen. Oh! Portia. Portia, I didn't know when it happened. And I don't know who the father is. Ava places a comforting hand on Portia's. We'll figure this out together. Portia glances up, tears threatening. I feel like I'm already failing. Ava shakes her head. You're not. You're brave for telling someone. That's everything. The two sit in silence for a moment, the weight of revelation heavy in the air. Back at the Quartermaine mansion, Tracy walks into her study and pours herself a drink, her face tired but defiant. She glances at the family portrait of Alan Quartermaine and then down at the glass in her hand. She lifts it in a quiet toast to no one. The memory of her brother and the legacy weigh on her. Suddenly her phone rings. It's Ned. Ned, voiceover Mom, you have to stop this. Tracy, scoffs stop? My son, this is who I am. Ned, it doesn't have to be who you are. You can choose different. Tracy, when have I ever been about choosing easy? Ned, exactly. And that's my concern. Tracy sets the drink down. You worry too much, Ned. I know what I'm doing. He sighs. I hope you do. Because I'm not sure I'll stick around when it all comes crashing down. Tracy doesn't respond. She simply stares at the drink, then leaves it on the desk and walks away. At the docks, Anna emerges from the shadows, the file in hand. The witness is waiting. She glances at the dark water. Anna, thank you for coming forward. Witness, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Anna hands over the manila folder. What you gave us is enough. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for. Witness, be careful. People will know you helped me. Anna, I will. She closes the folder, turns to leave. At the edge of the dock, she stops and looks out at the night sea, knowing the storm is only beginning. Meanwhile, at an upscale cafe near Port Charles, Jason sits alone, coffee cooling before him. Carly steps in, hesitates, then sits. He doesn't look up. Carly, you okay? Jason, no. Carly, I didn't come here to argue. Jason, you came to see how far you could push me. Carly, Jason, please. We've been through worse. Jason, that's the point. I don't want to go through worse again. Not with you, not because of you. Carly, I never wanted you to feel that way. Jason, then show it. Carly takes a breath. I'm trying. Jason, try harder. Or get out of the way. Carly lowers her eyes. Jason stands. I'll talk to you when you figure out what you really want. He walks off, leaving Carly staring at the empty chair across from her. As night falls, Nina sits alone in the dim corner of her living room, phone in hand. She types a message, it's set. Then she looks up at a framed photo of her and Willow. Her expression is cold. She deletes the message and replaces it with another, now. She sends it. She sits back, the quiet ticking of the clock echoing in the room. In the final scene of the evening, Curtis returns home, shoulders heavy. He opens the door and finds the house quiet. A framed photo of him and Portia smiles from the side table. He picks it up, stares at it, then sets it face down. He moves to the window and looks out across Port Charles. He whispers, to no one but himself, I can't lose you. Then he clenches his fist and walks away from the window. And that's where the episode leaves us, with secrets uncovered, allegiances tested, and the storm clouds gathering over Port Charles, more ominous than ever. The relentless Los Angeles sun beat down upon the city, but within the cool, sterile confines of ABC General Hospital, a different kind of heat was brewing, a simmering pot of emotional turmoil, life-altering decisions, and the ever-present shadow of past transgressions. The date, Tuesday, October 28, 2025, would prove to be a pivotal one for the lives entangled within these walls, a day where confessions would hang in the air like a physical presence and the future would be irrevocably shaped by the choices made in these fleeting hours. In the quiet, dimly lit confines of the hospital chapel, the air was thick with the scent of old wood and fading flowers. Elizabeth Weber sat on a simple wooden pew, her hands clasped so tightly together her knuckles were white. She wasn't praying, not in the traditional sense. She was pleading with the universe, with her own conscience, with the ghost of a memory that refused to be laid to rest. The weight of the secret she carried was a physical ache in her chest, a constant, gnawing presence that had stolen her sleep and her peace. She heard the soft creak of the door behind her but didn't turn. She knew who it was. Only one person would think to look for her here. Liesl Albrecht settled onto the pew beside her, the rustle of her skirt a familiar sound. She didn't speak immediately, her own formidable presence a silent anchor in the storm of Elizabeth's anxiety. "He's getting stronger every day, Liesl," Elizabeth finally whispered, her voice raw. "The physical therapy is working. The cognitive tests are improving. Every time he looks at me, with those clear, focused eyes, I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff. And the ground is crumbling beneath your feet," Albrecht finished, her tone not unkind, but pragmatic. "This secret, Elizabeth, it is a poison. You have carried it for too long. It is corroding you from the inside out." "I know," Elizabeth choked out, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. "But how do I tell him? How do I look the man I love in the eye and say, when you were at your most vulnerable, when your mind was shattered, I made a choice that could have destroyed you. I was so sure it was the right thing. To protect him, to protect Jake, to protect all of us from the chaos. But now it just feels like a monumental betrayal." Albrecht shifted, turning her body to face Elizabeth more fully. "Listen to me. What you did out of love. A misguided love, perhaps, but love nonetheless. You believed you were shielding him from a truth that would have broken him completely. But he is no longer that broken man. He is Jason Morgan. And Jason Morgan, for all his complexities, deserves the truth. The longer you wait, the greater the betrayal becomes. The foundation of your relationship is built on this omission. You must be the one to tear it down and rebuild it with honesty, or it will collapse on its own and bury you both." Elizabeth looked at her, her eyes wide with fear. "What if he can't forgive me? What if this is the thing that finally shatters us for good?" "Then that is a consequence you must be prepared to face," Albrecht said, her voice softening a fraction. "But you are a strong woman, Elizabeth. Stronger than you know. And he is a man who understands difficult choices better than most. The truth will be a fire. It will burn, it will be painful, but it will also cleanse. You cannot build a future on the ashes of a lie you are too afraid to reveal." The words settled deep within Elizabeth, a terrifying yet necessary verdict. She knew Albrecht was right. The time for hiding was over. The reckoning was here. Across the hospital, in the bustling nurses' station, the atmosphere was equally tense, though for entirely different reasons. Hamilton Finn stood with his arms crossed, his posture rigid as he faced his brother, Gregory Chase. The familial resemblance was strong, but the chasm between them at this moment seemed vast. "Gregory, be reasonable," Finn said, his voice low but strained. "You can't just ignore Dr. Collins' recommendations. The tests are clear. Pushing yourself now could set your recovery back weeks, maybe permanently." Gregory's jaw was set in a stubborn line, a familiar sight to anyone who knew the Chase men. "Reasonable? What's reasonable is me getting back to my life, Finn. To my job, to my home. I'm not an invalid to be coddled and wrapped in cotton wool. I feel fine. That's the insidious part of this." Finn insisted, running a hand through his already disheveled hair. You feel fine until you don't. And when you don't, it could mean a catastrophic neurological event. Dr. Collins isn't suggesting this to inconvenience you. She's the head of neurology, for God's sake. She knows what she's talking about. I appreciate your concern, son, I truly do, Gregory said, his tone shifting to one of patronizing patience that he knew grated on Finn. But I am also a doctor. I understand my own body. This enforced convalescence is doing more harm than good. My muscles are atrophying from disuse. My mind is turning to mush watching daytime television. I need to be active. I need to be useful. This isn't about being useful, it's about being alive. Finn's composure finally cracked. Do you have any idea what it would do to me? To Chase? To Violet? To lose you because you were too proud to follow a simple medical directive? This isn't a negotiation, Dad. This is your life. The use of Dad instead of Gregory seemed to land, hitting a vulnerable spot beneath the older man's stubborn exterior. Gregory's eyes flickered, but the set of his shoulders didn't relax. Don't pull the grandchild card, Hamilton. It's beneath you. It's the only card I have. Finn exploded, then immediately lowered his voice as a nurse shot them a curious look. It's the only thing that seems to matter to you more than your own damned pride. Think of Violet. She needs her grandfather. She needs you whole and healthy, not you proving a point and ending up back in a hospital bed, or worse. The two men stood in a tense silence, a battle of wills playing out in the sterile, fluorescent-lit corridor. It was a clash not just of medical opinions, but of generations, of a father's need for autonomy and a son's desperate, fearful love. Meanwhile, in the sophisticated, art-filled penthouse that overlooked the city, a different kind of confrontation was unfolding, one steeped in corporate intrigue and personal history. Tracy Quartermaine had arrived unannounced, her entrance as dramatic and imperious as ever. She found Ned Quartermaine, currently living as Eddie Maine, strumming a worn-out acoustic guitar on his luxurious sofa, a half-written song lyric scrawled on a notepad beside him. Really, Elton? Still on the bohemian artist kick? Tracy quipped, not bothering with a greeting as she set her expensive handbag down on a glass coffee table with a definitive thud. Ned didn't look up, finishing a chord with a flourish. Aunt Tracy. To what do I owe this unexpected assault on my creative process? If you're here for a duet, I should warn you, my harmony partner position is currently filled. Spare me the performance, Ned, Tracy said, her eyes sharp and assessing. This little identity crisis of yours has been a charming distraction, but it's time to pack it in. The company needs you. The family needs you. We are on the precipice of the Aurora Media merger, and we need a Quartermaine at the helm who actually remembers he's a Quartermaine, not some washed-up wannabe rock star. Ned finally set the guitar aside, a lazy, infuriating smile playing on his lips. See, that's where you're wrong, Tracy. Eddie Maine isn't a wannabe. He's a has-been, and there's a world of difference. It's a much more honest living. And as I recall, the company has been doing just fine without me. You and Michael have everything well in hand. Fine? Tracy scoffed. We're managing, which is not the same as thriving. This merger is the most significant thing to happen to Quartermaine Holdings in a decade. It requires finesse, strategy, and a deep understanding of our corporate legacy, something Eddie Maine conspicuously lacks. This charade was amusing for a while, but the stakes are too high now. Your little holiday from reality is over. Ned stood up, stretching with an exaggerated casualness that he knew would irritate her. Or maybe this is my reality now. Did you ever think of that? That maybe I'm tired of the boardrooms, the backstabbing, the constant pressure to be Ned Quartermaine, scion of the dynasty? This. He gestured around the penthouse, this music, it's the only thing that's felt real in a long time. Real? Tracy's voice dripped with sarcasm. Living off your trust fund in a $20 million penthouse while crooning about heartbreak and hard times? That's not real, Ned, that's a midlife crisis with a soundtrack. Your family has given you everything. It's time you started acting like you're worthy of it. The barb hit its mark. Ned's easygoing facade slipped for a second, revealing the sharp, calculating man beneath. Be careful, Aunt Tracy. You're talking about the only family I've got. And the last I checked, this family specializes in crises of all ages. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a chord progression that's not going to resolve itself. He picked up his guitar again, a clear dismissal. Tracy stared at him, her expression a mixture of fury and grudging respect for his sheer obstinacy. She had thrown her gauntlet, but he had refused to pick it up. The battle for Ned Quartermaine's soul was far from over. Back within the maze-like corridors of the hospital, another drama was reaching its boiling point. Carly Spencer, a woman whose life was a testament to weathering storms, found herself facing a potential hurricane in the form of John Jagger Cates. She had cornered him near the elevators, her green eyes blazing with a protective fire. I know what you're doing, Jagger, she said, her voice low and dangerous, devoid of its usual charming warmth. I see you, circling around Jason, asking your friendly questions, digging into a past that you have no business excavating. Jagger, ever the cool professional, met her gaze evenly, though a flicker of annoyance crossed his features. It's my job to excavate, Carly. Especially when there are unresolved questions surrounding a major incident. Jason Morgan was shot, left for dead, and his return has raised a number of inconsistencies. My business is the truth. Your business is stirring up trouble, Carly shot back, stepping closer. Jason has been through hell. He's fighting to get his life back, to reconnect with his son, to find some semblance of peace. And you, with your badge and your suspicious mind, are threatening to tear it all down. What exactly are you hoping to find? That he was secretly an international spy? That he faked his own amnesia? What? I'm hoping to find the facts, Jagger replied calmly, though his posture was rigid. And the fact is, there are gaps in the story of what happened to him. Gaps that certain people, including you, seem very invested in keeping quiet. That makes a law enforcement officer's ears perk up, Carly. You of all people should know that. The implication hung in the air between them. Carly's history with the law, with secrets and manipulations, was long and complicated. Jagger was subtly reminding her that she was not a neutral party. This isn't about me, she said, though the slight tremor in her voice betrayed her. This is about you trying to make a name for yourself by taking down a man who can't even defend himself properly right now. You're preying on his vulnerability, and I won't stand for it. Back off, Jagger. For your own good. It was a threat, plain and simple. Carly Spencer protecting her own was a formidable force, and Jagger knew it. He gave a slow, measured nod. Noted. But just so we're clear, Carly, my allegiance is to the law, not to the personal dramas of Port Charles's elite. If there's something to find, I will find it. And no amount of intimidation from you is going to change that. The elevator dinged, its doors sliding open. They stood staring at each other, a standoff between past and present, between personal loyalty and professional duty, with the fragile state of Jason Morgan hanging in the balance. In the relative quiet of a physical therapy room, another kind of effort was underway. Jason Morgan, his face a mask of intense concentration, gripped the parallel bars, his muscles trembling with the strain of holding himself upright. His physical therapist, a relentlessly cheerful woman named Lena, stood nearby, offering encouragement. That's it, Jason. Engage the core. You're doing great. Just a few more steps. Sweat dripped from his brow as he forced one foot in front of the other, the simple act of walking a Herculean task. Each movement was a battle against a body that had been broken, against neural pathways that were still rebuilding themselves. But the fire in his blue eyes was undimmed. This was a fight he was determined to win. The door opened, and Sam McCall slipped inside, leaning against the wall to watch. Her presence was a quiet comfort, a constant in the chaotic whirlwind of his recovery. She didn't speak, just offered a small, supportive smile. After a few more grueling steps, Jason finally stopped, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Lena congratulated him and stepped out to give them a moment. Sam moved forward, handing him a bottle of water. You're pushing yourself too hard, she said softly, her voice laced with concern. Jason took the water, his hand brushing against hers. I have to, Sam. I've lost enough time. I need to be me again. Whatever that means now. You're still you, Jason, Sam assured him, her eyes searching his. The core of you, the man who fights, who protects the people he loves, that never went away. The rest is just details. We'll figure them out together. He looked at her, a profound gratitude in his gaze. Sam had been his anchor, his touchstone to a reality that often felt slippery and uncertain. She had loved him through various incarnations of himself, the enforcer, the amnesiac, the lost soul, and her steadfast faith was the bedrock upon which he was rebuilding. But that's just it, he said, his voice low. The details matter. The gaps in my memory, they're not just blank spaces. They feel like voids, Sam. And sometimes, when I look at certain people, when I'm in certain places, I get flashes. Feelings. A sense of dread, or a jolt of fear, or a wave of guilt. But I can't pin them down. I can't attach them to a memory. It's like trying to catch smoke. Sam's heart ached for him. She knew some of what lurked in those voids, the secrets others were keeping to protect him. She had her own complicated feelings about it, caught between her loyalty to Jason and her friendships with those guarding the truth. Maybe you shouldn't try to catch it, she suggested carefully. Maybe you should just focus on the now. On getting stronger. The past, it has a way of revealing itself when you're ready to handle it. Jason's expression was skeptical. Or it has a way of ambushing you when you're at your most vulnerable. He looked toward the door, as if he could sense the gathering tensions just beyond it, Carly's confrontation with Jagger, Elizabeth's torment in the chapel. I feel like there's a storm coming, Sam. And I'm not sure I have the strength to stand in the middle of it. You won't be standing in it alone, Sam promised, taking his hand. You never have been. Their moment of quiet solidarity was a small island of peace in the turbulent sea of the day. But the tides of conflict were rising, and soon no one would be able to stay on the shore. The most explosive confrontation of the day was igniting in the hallway outside of Sonny Corinthos's room. Nina Reeves, having mustered every ounce of her courage, had come to face the man whose wrath she feared most. She found him not in his room, but standing by the window in the corridor, looking out at the city with a dark, brooding intensity. Sonny, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He turned slowly, and the look in his eyes was not one of simple anger. It was a cold, deep-seated fury, the kind that had been simmering for months, fed by betrayal and the shattering of his family. Nina, he said, her name a statement of fact, devoid of any warmth. I need to talk to you, she began, wringing her hands slightly. Talk? Sonny let out a short, humorless laugh. You want to talk? After everything? After the lies, the manipulation, the phone call to the SEC that you let my wife take the fall for? You destroyed my marriage, you turned my children against their mother, and you think we need to talk? Each word was a lash, and Nina flinched under their sting. I know what I did was wrong, Sonny. I know that. I was in a dark place. I was hurt, and I was jealous, and I made a terrible, terrible mistake. A mistake? Sonny took a step forward, and though he wasn't a large man, his presence seemed to fill the entire hallway. Calling the SEC and setting in motion the destruction of my family wasn't a mistake, Nina. That was a calculated act of vengeance. You didn't stumble and accidentally dial the number. You planned it. You executed it. You sat back and watched as Carly's life, my life, our family's life, blew up in our faces. And you said nothing. Tears welled in Nina's eyes. I wanted to tell you. So many times. But I was scared. I was scared of losing you. You never had me. Sonny's voice rose, echoing in the corridor. A passing orderly quickly averted his eyes and hurried away. That's the part you never understood. What we had was a moment, a distraction. It wasn't real. It was built on the same lies you're still telling yourself. You didn't lose me, Nina, because you never had me to begin with. But you cost me the woman I have loved for decades. You cost my wife her freedom and her reputation. You cost my family its stability. I love you, Sonny, Nina cried, the words sounding desperate and hollow even to her own ears. No, he said, his voice dropping to a deadly calm. You don't love me. You love the idea of saving me. You love the drama. You love winning against Carly. But that's not love. Love is loyalty. Love is honesty. Love is what I had with Carly, and you systematically tore it apart. So don't you dare stand there and tell me you love me. Your love is poison. The finality in his tone was absolute. Nina felt as if he had physically struck her. All her hopes, her delusions, her carefully constructed justifications, crumbled to dust under the weight of his contempt. There's nothing left for you here, Nina, Sonny continued, turning his back to her to look out the window once more, dismissing her completely. No forgiveness. No future. Nothing. We are done. Now get out of my sight. Defeated, broken, and utterly alone, Nina could do nothing but turn and walk away, the sound of her own sobs echoing in her ears as Sonny's words seared themselves into her soul. It was the end of a painful chapter, a brutal but necessary severance. As the day wore on, the threads of these separate conflicts began to draw tighter, pulling the central characters toward an inevitable convergence. For Elizabeth, the time for deliberation was over. Albrecht's words had been the final push. She found Jason in the hospital garden, sitting on a bench in the late afternoon sun, the dappled light catching the silver in his hair. He looked peaceful, contemplative, and her heart broke at the thought of shattering that peace. Jason, she said, her voice trembling. He looked up and offered her a small smile. Liz. Come sit. She sat beside him, her hands folded in her lap to stop them from shaking. She took a deep, shuddering breath, the air smelling of damp earth and blooming flowers, a cruel contrast to the confession she was about to make. Jason, there's something I have to tell you, she began, her eyes fixed on a distant tree, unable to meet his gaze. Something I should have told you a long time ago. When you first came back, when your memory was so fragmented. I made a choice. A terrible, selfish choice. Jason's expression grew serious, his full attention on her. What choice, Liz? She forced herself to look at him then, to see the trust and confusion in his blue eyes. It was about Jake, she whispered, her voice cracking on their son's name. When you were missing, presumed dead, and then when you came back not knowing who you were. I saw how much it was hurting him. The uncertainty, the loss, the hope, the confusion. He'd already lost a father figure he loved in Franco, and then to have you return as a stranger, it was tearing him apart. She paused, gathering the shattered pieces of her courage. I was so afraid. Afraid that if you remembered everything too quickly, the violence, the danger, the life you led, that it would be too much for you to handle and you'd leave again. Or that it would pull you back into that world and put Jake in danger all over again. So. I asked Dr. Montague to adjust your treatment. To slow down the recovery of your more traumatic memories. To essentially keep you in a state of limbo, where you were present but not fully you.